Having the appointed time of 5:30 arrived, I would like to call the Tuesday, August 12, 2025 Committee of Whole to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Cox.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford. Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Atriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley. Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Can we have a quorum?
Thank you, Clerk. For my colleagues, I will have to leave a little early for another obligation, but I will turn it over to my co-chair, Alderwoman Nutriano, when it's time for me to step away. I would like to accept the motion for approval of the July 29th, 2025 committee meeting minutes.
Second, Chair.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes has it. Madam Treasurer, would you please present your treasurer's report?
Thank you, Chair. The Treasurer's Report for the Corporate Fund for the month of July. Beginning balance is $61,626,749. We took in total receipts of $13,683,692. Total disbursements, $12,395,876, which left the corporate fund ending balance in July at $62,914,565. The ending general fund balance includes $9,529,126, which is the ending balance for the ARPA money in July. That concludes my report, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Are there any presentations? Yes, there is. Mr. Posey?
Hey, we didn't, nobody told us about presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Just want 2 minutes of your time. I promise I'm not going to take long. I just wanted to introduce you all to our new community care coordinator and the newest member of our outreach team, Toba Castro. She onboarded here with us on July the 28th, so I wanted you to all be able to put a face to the name, and I want to give her a second just to tell you about herself.
Hi, I'm Toba Castro. I have been an employee of the District 186 for the last 15 years. I ended my last 4 years being a family and community engagement liaison. I was planted at Grant Middle School. I worked at Sandburg, and I love serving our needy families. I'm excited to join the team with Shannon and Ethan, who I worked with before as a director of Abundant Faith, Supportive Living, and with the district. And I'm excited about serving our community and serving our homeless people and doing what we can to join the team to get our homeless off the street.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Next, we have ordinances tabled or remaining in committee. Mr. Clerk, could you please read those ordinances?
Ordinances table remaining committee, 2025-247, an ordinance amending ordinance number 499-12-24 with Green Demolition Contractors, Inc. for abatement and demolition of Old Town Apartments Complex by changing the funding source and authorizing supplemental appropriation in the amount not to exceed $508,000 for the Office of Public Works. 2025-281 is an ordinance authorizing supplemental appropriation in the amount of $115,928.94 from interest earned and assigned fund balance Wagner request for the purchase of furniture from the Resource One AIS Amina pursuit to joint purchase contract R22-40101 for the Lincoln Library. Is there anyone who wants to take those off the
Is there anyone who would like to remove any of the ordinances for committee consideration? Moving right along. Now,
Chair,
yes,
point of parliamentary procedure.
Yes.
Is it necessary for the clerk to read the entire titles of the two ordinances that are in?
It's not necessary. It's within his discretion.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
You only have to say the number now, Chuck.
So, moving right along, now for ordinances for committee consideration. Mr. Clerk, could you please read the ordinances for CWLP?
Yes, ma'am. Ordinances for committee consideration, CWLP 2025-302, an ordinance accepting, authorizing execution of an addition 2-year extension for the proposal number UE 18-12 with Azinga Cement, Inc. for the purchase and removal of beneficial use of fly ash from Dolman 4 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-303 is an ordinance accepting proposal number UE 2605 with Martin Equipment of Illinois, Inc. for lease of dozer with option to purchase in the amount not to exceed $707,765.52 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Motion consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-304, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Clean Green Soil Amendments LLC for the removal of beneficial reuse and synthetic gypsum for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-305, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UW 2607-2410 HDPE Water Main HDD Bores and Petersburg Plumbing and Excavating LLC in the amount not to exceed $95,566 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-306, an ordinance approving a 1-year contract extension and authorizing additional funding in the amount of $150,000 under the contract UE 22-06-38 byproducts hauling for the Dolman Power Plant with J. Oros Environmental, Inc. for the total amount payable of $1,750,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-307, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UE 26-0417, removal and replacement and install of new station batteries with Electrono-Rep Energy Products, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $161,317.64 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, excuse me, Alderman Gregory.
Thank you. Real quick on 306, I know that's past this, but Doug, can you talk about which byproduct where we are addressing there, and where will it be going for the hauling?
So, the byproduct hauling is basically at the generating station complex and the water purification plant. So, for the needed stuff that would be needed to be sent to like the landfill, sometimes they do that for temporary before they can move it on to like a vendor that for the contracts. So it's not just the power plant, but it's also the filter plant as well. So they're lime byproduct.
So line byproduct?
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah,
For the
and
most
as well as the gypsum and the ash as
Okay.
well.
And where will
It's limited use though.
Okay. And where will those items be traveling to? Where we dispose?
That's what I said. It's to the landfill.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
if they do that to the landfill, it's usually, I guess, a temporary situation before the vendor can take it.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Any other discussion moving into 2025-308? No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-308 is an ordinance approving intergovernmental agreement with Sangamon County Soil and Water Conservation District in the amount not to of $282,000 for Lake Springfield Source Water Protection Project, Regional Conservation Partnership Program in the Lake Springfield watershed, and further authorizing supplemental appropriation in the amount of $100,000 to fund said project for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Any discussion? Alderman Gregory, that's old.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-309, and whereas approving professional services agreement with Andrews Engineering, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $500,000 for consulting services related to the disposal of coal combustional residual using the environmental and regulatory initiatives and rebate fund, and authorizing the supplemental appropriation for those funds for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Public Works, 2025-310, an ordinance authorizing an increase of contract RFP PW 24-22 with Lewis Excavating and Snow Removal LLC to provide supplemental snow removal services in the amount not to exceed $71,347 for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it.
2025-311, ordinance authorizes supplemental relocation expenses and business occupying parcel SR 0075 in the amount of $31,255.39 located at 1020 North 10th Street for usable segment 6B, the Springfield Rail Improvement Project for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-312, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement between the City of Springfield and the State of Illinois Department of Transportation for the construction of the intersection improvements on Carpenter Street at 5th Street and 6th Street, MFT Section 2200496000SP, in the amount not to exceed $633,809 for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-313, an ordinance accepting lowest responsible bid and authorizing execution of a contract PW 260623 with PH Broughton and Sons for the FY 2026 Seal Coat Overlay Program in the amount not to exceed $437,051.75 for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Second.
And we do have discussion. Alderman Carlson.
Yeah, I just have a question. And I don't know, is Director Fuchs here or, I'm just wondering, and I think, and maybe I just need it explained to me, but Director, I've gotten a handful of calls. I know other older people up here have gotten a handful of calls on these overlays or whatever we're doing to some of these streets out there. I don't know if we're opening them up too soon. There's ruts, some are uneven. I think I've passed on a few of my concerns. I mean, can you just give us an overall what, I think there's one or two or three different sort of products we use, depending on whether it's a cul-de-sac or a street or something, but I think you've probably gotten some of the complaints, so can you just address it overall?
This particular contract is the oil and chip program. We have a lot of oil and chip streets around the city, and that's what this is addressed. But as far as the micro-servicing, we've got micro-surfaced streets in every ward. It's not an overlay. It's not asphalt. Basically, what we're doing is sealing and preserving a pavement that is essentially in good shape. But we seal it so that the water doesn't get into the cracks and whatnot. It's a dynamic process, and it's essentially a liquid. Microsurfacing is what it's called. And it comes out as a liquid. It pours over the surface of the existing pavement. It's generally it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. It should be, when it's applied, it should be about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's generally for low traffic volume streets. This would be mostly the end of the line streets, cul-de-sacs and whatnot. So it's streets that generally have less than, let's say, 50 vehicles a day on them. That's what it's designed for. It's very, very cost effective. Right now, cement was going for $100 a yard, and now it's up to $150 for a yard. Asphalt, it was $75 a ton. We're now paying $130 a ton. And curbs and gutters, as you've seen that we've done downtown, $70 per linear foot. It's now at about $110 per linear foot. So it is a very large cost savings. One of the keys when you do an overlay is that somebody not drive on it for the first hour, hour and a half. And we do run into some problems with that. The application is, as I said, it's liquid, and it should be a quarter of an inch thick. You and I had a conversation, and you've got some areas where it's less than that. We would certainly be happy to revisit that. But this is primarily a cost savings. It's not as smooth as an overlay because you don't run rollers over it, but it's very cost effective, and it preserves the pavement. It really does a good job.
No, and I appreciate that. I think to the average citizen out there, me included, hey, they're fixing my road. It should just be, they don't differentiate between a microsurfacing and an overlay and, all that. So I think that's helpful, and we'll just have to relay it on to our
I'm
constituents.
glad to continue the discussion with you and any other.
So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, Dave, I think that maybe, I agree with Brad that I think that maybe we got to get a better communication plan for these neighborhoods that this microsurfacing is happening. I think people see it and they think it's a total overlay, and so when it's not even, or and they haven't been, from what I've seen, it's not a quarter of an inch across the board. Like the main, they go down to center first, that's a quarter of an inch, everything's great, and then it seems to tail off as they go. But and people have just, they've contacted me, and I've gotten your staff involved. They've been good about getting out and looking at it, and I know that there's some areas that they're going to go back and do.
Yes, sir.
But I think that we got it. When we do this stuff, we got to, anything that's not a total overlay, we got to educate people to, this is what it's going to be, and even if we have pictures, this is what it's going to look like, because everybody expects it to look like a brand new road, brand new overlay. So, but I thank your staff. They've been very reactive, and I appreciate it. So
We'll be glad to pursue anything that we could to further educate the citizens. But as I said, it's really cost effective.
Thank you, Director. There is no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Ordinance 2025-314, an ordinance authorizing the execution of agreement with Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission and for the performance of transportation work under the Unified Planning Work Program from July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, and the amount to exceed $39,500. MFT sections number 25-00300-00ES for the Office of Public Works.
move consent.
Second.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-315, an ordinance authorizing execution of a 4-year agreement with International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 965, for employees with the Office of Public Works from June 1, 2025 through May 31, 2029.
Move consent.
Second.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-316, an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources and the City of Springfield for access to and maintenance of the tunnels under the old state capitol for the
Move for
Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Second.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-317, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of right-of-way for Rachel Lane located at the east side of the south side of Old Jacksonville Road for the Office of Public Works.
Move consent.
Second.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-318, an ordinance accepting the right-of-way for Rachel Lane located on the east side of the south side of Old Jacksonville Road for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
2025-319, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental relocation expenses for a relocation of personal property located at parcel SR 0029, 1500 East North Grand Avenue in the amount of $925 related to U.S. Bell Segment 6A for the Springfield Rail Improvement Project for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed, the ayes have it.
2025-320 is a resolution notifying the State of Illinois Department of Transportation that motor fuel tax funds in the amount of $39,500 may be used for the city's share of the planning work outlined in the Unified Planning Work Program as required by the 1962 Federal and Highway Act, SATS Springfield Area Transportation Study, MFT Section 2500300-00 ES, as amended for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
General City Business, 2025-321, an ordinance amending Chapter 170, Division 6 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances amended pertaining to registering repeatedly cited properties.
Motion for debate.
And there are discussion. Alderman Donnelly.
What are we doing, debate?
Yeah, he said motion for debate, and Carlson said second, right?
I was not, I had motion for consent.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's motion for debate. Do I have a second?
Second.
Now we're at discussion. Alderman Donnelly.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can I ask someone from the administration to just give us a brief outline of this particular proposal?
Corporation Counsel.
So what this proposal does is it creates a requirement to register with the city if you own property and have repeated violations. It takes language from our chronic nuisance ordinance and moves it to a separate section, which also includes the registration component. It has higher fines than we currently have for repeat offenders. It lists out violations, specific housing violations that we can use to prosecute these chronic offenders. And then it also, one of the key components is it allows us to target all buildings within a particular site, as opposed to our current code, in which we have to cite building by building. So Old Town, you can remember, we cite the violation per building. If it's a chronic nuisance site, then the entire property is cited for those violations.
Does it, if a property owner, or an owner, I should say, owns multiple properties, does that owner, or can we even do that? Is that owner could that owner be on the list for, let's just use an example of, they have 10 violations in Ward 7 and none in Ward 1?
So
Or
right
is there
now-
a bad actor, they're a bad landlord?
Right, so as currently drafted, this is by property, not by owner. So if you wanted to do that, we could look at it or look at amending
I
this.
just wanted that clarification. So, like, use your example. It's no secret. Old Town, we know who the owner is. We've known who the owner is. We've gone after him multiple times. Some of the other properties, Alderwoman Conley has the Vaughn Apartments. We know who the owner is. And when I asked Public Works the last time we talked about this topic, is the problem we don't know who the owner is? And the answer was absolutely not. That's not the problem. The problem is getting the teeth and getting them to adhere to the cleanup and treating properties like they should. So the way I read this ordinance is it does provide the city and the staff and Corporation Counsel and the administrative court process more teeth, and it's getting on the list is not a good thing. It's sort of a bad actors list, and it would allow more fines and hopefully get things cleaned up a heck of a lot faster. Am I missing anything, Corporation Counsel?
I think that's an accurate assessment of the goals of this ordinance, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Alderman Donnelly?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Alderman Gregory.
No, thank you, Ms. Chair. I'm not against this. I didn't put this on debate to be against it, but to have a debate and really enhance this. I know as my ward having half of the complaints of this whole city, this is something that's important to me. And it doesn't address all things that we have. We got a bunch of properties that no one stays in. No one's going to receive these fines that we have. I have asked Corporation Counsel to look into our foreclosure process on some of these homes, so we can, put them back on the market and sell them. I can vividly call out addresses of homes that have been vacant in the same shape, been sold, but no progress on, and they're just sitting there. Our inspection process. So I'll definitely take a look at this. I definitely want to try to amend some of this. I do believe that 3 or more, 2 or more, like I said, we did bring some ordinances with some of this language in there, but I think 2 or more, and the third one is when they get registered. When we did bring this back, bring this forward years ago, if you remember, the crowd was full with landlords and realtors who pushed us that we had the tools already to do these things, right? So much of this, no matter what we change, is going to be us executing. It's going to be us executing. Dave, have we used the ordinance for the dump receipt? In 2019, we passed in 2019, we passed the ordinance that was a dump receipt. When we go cite properties, we will clear them within the state legal process. And for large quantities, we should be getting proof of where we're dumping that. Because what happens is we'll go cite them. They'll send a picture that is clear, and sometimes somebody just takes it to another spot, and then we'll still be going to go get the same fly dumping that we cited for. So things like that are very, very important. If we're going to get large properties that have a tremendous amount of garbage or trash and things that we have cleared out, we need some type of proof, and I think that's very, very important. That's in our codes right now. And I think that no matter what we do, we just got to make sure that we're handling business with these. Working with our legal counsel, I know it's not all on Public Works. Certainly our workers work hard. That's another portion of this. Just receive emails before we come in on a house, in one part of my ward, and grass in another. So things like that are very, very important. But I think the third one, and I think that any property owner, regardless of their landlord or they intend to stay on it, if they have 2 or more of these houses, then they need to register all of their properties. We need to stop playing with them. Because if they can't keep one house properly, health, life, safety code type of deals, and they got another one, they're starting a pattern showing us that they can't handle all these houses and that we need to keep track of them. I think that houses that make it on this registry, we need to have some type of yearly, bi-yearly inspection on them so we can make sure that they are in decent working shape before we move people in them. Among other things, and I won't take up the time, I do plan on looking at some amendments to just really, really hold some of these bad actors accountable and stop them from continuing to buy other properties in our community, because it's really a big issue, from fly dumping to trash service. I also think that any house that makes it to our registry, they should make sure that they take care of the grass and trash. There's no reason to let them leave that to anyone else. They need to take care of the grass and trash, and I think making it to this list, we need to tighten it up on property owners. I won't even say landlords. I'll say property owners. So that's my thoughts on that process, and I look forward to the grass component. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gregory. Alderman Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So, right now, my view of this is a very weak approach. And I'm saying this because under the current mayor's first day, I introduced a landlord registration, and I was told it didn't go far enough. It didn't go far enough, and then we played with the citizens for all this time. We played with a little committee, we did some other things, and this is all we can come up with. So I do have some issues. My issues deal with this, is this going to be the property that's registered, or is this going to be the landlord? But we're calling it a landlord registry. But the type of landlord registry I would like to see deals with things like inspection in and inspection out. So if I'm a landlord and I want to rent to Alderman Gregory, I got to get inspected to see if I'm up to code to rent that property. If I evict Alderman Gregory or our lease is up or for some reason he leaves, an inspection needs to happen before we go back on the market. And I only can speak to my ward, because in my ward, the very next day before even cleanup, there's a new tenant, as is, and all these other kind of languages. And as aldermen, of course, we're always encouraged that we don't get involved in the actual agreements, between the tenant and the landlord. So we really shouldn't be involved with the lease. But sometimes I know as a alderman, they haven't cleaned up to standards yet to be able to rent that to the next person. So the same mold that's in the wall or in the rug is still there. And the person is happy they're leaving. They broke the lease and got out. But then the next day, here's a new tenant. And I'm living right there. I can see they haven't had time to clean that mold or take care of the problem. So I would like to see things like inspection in, inspection out. You guys are coming on, well, how are we going to pay for it? How many inspectors is that going to take? But that's a real landlord registry. And that's when you're really catching bad landlords doing things, as well as reporting all the properties to the one landlord. He may be a landlord that has good properties and bad properties. But if he gets on that list for the one bad property, he's on the list. So we're looking at all of them, not just, because playing with this is what we're doing if we don't get real serious about taking care of people who are being rented and become tenants to substandard housing. And that happens a lot in Springfield, Illinois. I hear constantly how tenant rights, this and that, we don't enforce any of that. And I said, well, we don't even enforce or worry about landlords. I appreciate the attempt. It is an attempt. We finally got to the point where we're talking it. But we have a long ways to go. I think this is very weak. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Williams. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think that I agree with Alderman Gregory that I like the idea of if someone has, what I'd like to see is if someone has multiple properties, let's say 5 properties at AC Court, and they're found to have been in violation, then I agree. I think they should register all their properties. I think that that's fair. In regards to Alderman Williams, I think that, so what happens, so we do an inspection before somebody moves in, and if we do an inspection and the place is a wreck, are we going to have a tenant registration for bad tenants too? Mm-hmm. You get into that because the houses don't just wreck themselves. The houses don't wreck themselves. And, I was a landlord once. Thank God I had a good tenant. But I have had people that I knew were landlords, and their tenants weren't good, and they wrecked the place, and they're stuck footing the bill. So it's not just the landlords that are not fixing the houses. I'd be all for going in and inspecting them at first. But if we inspect them when people leave and the place is a wreck, it's not the landlord's fault. It's the tenant. So what are you going to do to them? I'm just saying that's, something you got to consider. But I agree, Sean. I think that we ought to look at some of these, landlords that are, might be the bad actors. Our inspectors know who all the bad actors are. You could sit down with one of them. They can name the top 5 probably, and they can almost tell you where the houses are. So I would be in favor of that. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hanauer. Alderwoman Nutriano.
Thank you, Chair. So I have some questions about basically where all of this came from. It looks like most of it is sort of taken from the chronic nuisance section and then put in its own section. Okay. And so my question there would be like, what success have we been having with the chronic nuisance ordinance? Like, how has that enforcement been going? Because I know there are a couple of properties that should have several judgments against them that I do not know if they have. Basically, like, what has this been effective as is, and why will it be more effective if we move it?
Sure. So one of the goals from our code enforcement department, who we consulted with in putting this together, is to make the process easier to understand from both an inspection level and the city enforcement side. Our chronic nuisance ordinance has been used very effectively on the criminal side, and we have that down, working with prosecuting those cases. We have much more experience with that than we did with the chronic nuisance on housing violations. So with our goal in this is to make this much clearer on what, not getting into parsing whether or not they've had 3 building violations or housing violations, but actually listing out the violations, listing out the procedure, and then creating this registry. So I will say we have not been great at the chronic nuisance for the non-criminal side, and the goal of moving this is to create a different process that is utilized better by our office and by Public Works.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And so this pertains to all properties, not just rental properties?
That's correct. This can
Okay.
apply for a single-family owner all
Okay.
the way up through multifamily dwellings.
Okay. I would just like to point out that perhaps we've had greater success with the criminal chronic nuisance enforcement because we have many more police officers than we do housing inspectors. So it's much easier to track, how many times someone is going out to a certain house and things of that nature. So I really am concerned that if we're not adding more housing inspectors, I don't see that we're setting ourselves up to succeed because this requires a lot of enforcement and going and checking up on things. And I don't know, I would just like to see it come along with increased headcount for inspectors, or perhaps some mechanism to allow us to record violations that doesn't require the inspector to visit, that somebody else could do, say a zoning manager. I will say I have a abandoned car on a property that I reported in January, and it is still there. I don't know. It's one of like the easiest things because it's visible from the street, and I turned it in, and the fact that has gotten nowhere, it just doesn't bode well for whatever is happening on the back end. So I hope that we're working on that as well. And so this excludes vacant properties. Can you explain?
Sure. This excludes only vacant properties that are required to be registered as vacant properties because we already have a list and a tracking mechanism for those.
Okay. And so we're asking people to self-report, or are we getting this information from them when they're called into administrative court?
So we would require this as a part of any administrative court proceeding.
Okay. So somebody is not going to come under this ordinance if no one sees it or reports it, basically. And we don't send an inspector out, and we don't have them written up, and they don't go to administrative court, right?
Right, this isn't a proactive inspection cycle.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think the key thing to keep in mind is, at least for me, is that administrative court piece, that you have to have a judgment in administrative court. It's not just a report or an incident or what have you. And for whatever reason, that barrier seems higher. Higher than I would expect it to be, I guess. And I do believe that covers all of my questions. I am afraid that this is not going to work for all of my problem properties, but I certainly would like to see it work. So, yeah, I'm glad we're putting it on debate, and maybe we can take some suggestions and make sure that we're coming up with something that can actually do what we are saying it should do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Gregory.
Thank you. And my final statement. I do think that some type of inspection needs to be done when people move in. I don't necessarily, and I agree with Alderwoman Notarano on our staffing levels. But if I'm a property owner and I'm leasing it, before I'm signing the lease, I would want to go see my property and make sure. And I think that responsibility for landlords, and maybe they own 100, maybe they own 200, I don't know. But maybe they need to hire a property management to handle that before they sign new leases. But if we're worried about a tenant destroying our property, then we need to go see them more often. We can't stay in Pawnee and Florida and all these places and never come see our properties and just continue this lease. Many people, that I know have stayed in rentals for a long, long time and kept them up and treat them like their own homes to where even some landlords have given them those houses and gifted them. And we've seen others who don't responsible. I know there's been other cities that tried to put together a tenant list and things, and they got sued. It didn't work so well for them. I do believe that property owners who lease properties have several mechanisms to recoup money if they can and take them to court. But what we have noticed is when our citizens run into these problems, it is tough. It is tough to get the legal assistance to get them out of, some of the smallest things, but should be handled by that property owner. Floors with busted pipes under them, squeaking, squishing, and all this, and they have to get out, and now they have to go through the courts to recoup their money. And if any of us been through the court process who don't have a lot of money, you oftentimes give up on that. So I agree in a sense that people who live in these properties need to take some pride in them. But in the end, we're going to go see the owner of them. And in the end, the owner has to be responsible for them. They have to make sure that, they have a good working relationship with their tenant. I'm a renter. I imagine everybody up here owns. I'm a renter. I've had great landlords. I've had unsung great landlords. So I've seen both sides of this thing. And people go through hardships, absolutely, and good landlords help them out. Good landlords want their properties. Good landlords are going to go by and check on them and do all the things that they need to do. And the bad ones and even outside of this landlord and property thing, there's some circumstances in our community. People have died, people have moved on, people have lost houses, and these are the houses that we are still dealing with. We're dealing with a house, right now on the south side of my ward, and the leaves and trees and voluntary trees is bigger than the house. It's ridiculous, and we have several like that in our community. In those houses, this doesn't help us on. So we got to keep working with that from a legal process more up. On what we're going to do with those vacant houses. These vacant houses, I know you mentioned the excludes the vacant property list, but is that list working? Is that list expanding? When we look at that list, are we confident that we have most of the vacant houses in our ward? And I think that's something, or in our city, I think that's something that we need to look at and make sure that we have some vacant houses. And typically, I can tell you that a vacant house that's going to be sold is typically never a problem. It can go years and not be boarded up and things of that nature, but there's others, not boarded up. Windows broken, we send those things in. Our public works try to board them back up, and then people tear them apart. So it's essential, I guess I'm saying, for us when we get them on this vacant property list, the ones that no one lives in, no one cares about for whatever reason, that we start trying to figure out what we're going to do with them, whether we're going to floor calls on them, whether we're going to, whatever. It has been done before. Owners have been contacted about houses they had no idea was in their name, and they voluntarily give them up to the city, and we pass them on to people to fix up. So it can happen, it can work, and I think that's a part that we got to look at as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Carlson.
Thank you, Chair. I think there's bits and pieces of what everybody said so far that I agree with. I think this is clearly a step in the right direction. Alderman Gregory said, I think half the complaints are in his ward. And I like to remind everybody, I think the number, who has the most rental units in town? It's Ward 7. I serve the most rental units in town, and I know we've talked about this landlord registry for a while, who should be on it, who shouldn't be. I can tell you from any time I get a call, I'm always able to find the owner, the landlord, and help solve the problem. Where I do see the issue is, and I agree with Alderwoman Notriano, it's just, I think we have 5 inspectors that cover a whole host of things, and I've talked about it all summer, Chair. I mean, they cover, grass, violations there, and this. I think it's going to be incumbent upon us to, that if this is going to work properly, to somehow, whether we can, assign people or move people or just hire a few more people. I know budgets are tough, but I clearly think it's the bad actors that we got to go after, but we've got to be able to do it in an organized fashion with quick, severe punishment, and not everybody else who's following the law. So, thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Alderman Williams.
Yes, real quickly. I'll just say to the alderman that asked me some questions that I'm with you. People shouldn't tear up the property. In many cases, in my ward, that's why the lease is ending, and that's why they're not getting renewed, or that's why they're getting evicted, or whatever the case is. My point is that landlord still has to offer that home as safe and clean and new and that type of thing is what I'm after. That's why that inspection still must happen, not to excuse what happened, but to say before you rent to the next person, you have to be up to code in all areas. That house has to pass our code. To Alderman Carlson's issue, again, we represent different types of neighborhoods and ways. So he has the most rentals if we look at buildings. But I would challenge houses, because Ward 3 don't have a lot of apartment buildings, and I do have a few in Lake Victoria, and then I can go on and on. I have enough that I can give him a run for his money, but I'm talking houses mostly. And I'm talking about inspecting houses before we allow them to be rented out again. So there is some differences when you live in an apartment building with a bunch of people versus an individual house, and they'll have some differences. So I just want you to know, of course, there's always that tenant side where everybody in America knows what a tenant can do to your property. But in Springfield, Illinois, right now, we got landlords all over the place, all over the United States. And we're not holding anybody accountable for the conditions of the properties that we're renting. And the reason why they get away with it is because we have a housing shortage, in case you didn't know. In Springfield right now, I asked some of them, why did you rent that? Why did you sign that lease? They got to live somewhere. This is the best place I could find. This is the best place I can afford. I think if we was doing our parts to make sure at least it was up to code, that would at least give them a good footing to start off with, a decent place to live. So I hear you clearly when you say, the tenants can tear it up. Of course they can. Of course they do. And I didn't want you to think I was just being against the landlords. I'm against bad tenants as well. And this is what I mean when I say we need to slow this thing down and really do our work, because it's a lot of components to the registry, but we need to get a little more serious and put a little more teeth that means something for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Cox.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I'm going to kind of turn this a little bit. We've been talking pretty much 100% about residential buildings and apartments and houses, what have you. This will also apply to non-residential. Is that correct? Is that my understanding, Mr. Council?
The way it's drafted now, yes.
So it would apply to, for example, the Hardys on Toronto Road, which has been a nightmare for about 22 years now.
That's correct.
Okay, so this will, and there's buildings all over the city that are not being taken care of, that are not residential, that we're having trouble finding the owners, finding the landlords, for lack of a better term. So we can go after more than just residential landlords with the way it's drafted as it is.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm not saying that it's perfect the way it is. There might be some amendments that I may agree with, may not agree with, but I just want to make sure that everybody in the horseshoe and in the public understand that this isn't just apartments and homes. It's going to be other buildings as well. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, you want to go twice? Alderman Carlson?
Sorry, I'll go 2 bites at the apple, but Alderman Cox jogged my memory. The old Hardee's on Toronto Road. I too have the old Hardee's on Wabash Avenue. That has been closed for years. But as everybody knows, I've been able to communicate with him pretty regularly, and he lives in Miami, Florida. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? This has been a healthy discussion, and I echo a lot of the concerns that I heard around the entire horseshoe, but I want to be very careful with me saying anything as I wear 2 hats, so I will be reaching out to you, Corporation Counsel, to talk to you before I make any type of statement. With no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Next ordinance is 2025-322, an ordinance authorizing supplemental appropriation to pay an outstanding payment for the service contract executed October 1st, 2022, with the Board of Trustees for the University of Illinois for the Center for the State Policy and Leadership at the University of Illinois at Springfield for services in advancing the teen empowerment zone in the amount not to exceed $43,600.
Motion for consent.
Second.
There is discussion. Alderman Donnelly,
Yes, could someone just explain what this is all about?
Corporation Counsel.
Yeah, so we received a bill from the University of Illinois for completion of the Teen Empowerment Zone. Their evaluation of it, if you look at the contract, the amount was to be paid $20,000 in advance and then $23,600 upon completion. So they completed the report. It was entered into in early 2023. It took them a while to complete the report. They did. They submitted it to us along with a final bill. Because it's a service contract in excess of $25,000, it needs to be approved by council for us to pay it.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem with the concept of I don't have a problem with the concept, but I'm trying to understand the payment process here. So is it something that should have been brought to us before it was executed, or are we kind of doing it reverse?
Yeah, this would be one where we're doing it backwards. We're doing it not like we normally do. So we executed a contract in 2022 that obligated the city to pay this $43,600, and we paid $20,000, which would have been allowed if that was the total sum of the contract. But the final bill at $43,600 we would have paid. So
You're getting, I think, to the heart of my question. I want to be clear here. So if, the mayor can't, spread out a contract over 2 fiscal years, or can he or she?
No. So we can't execute a contract that obligates the city to more than $25,000 without city council approval. It was done in this case, but our accountants won't pay it until the city council approves it, because to pay
those
that,
accountants.
right? But to pay that amount would violate our procurement policy in our city code.
Thank you for that clarification. I
Thank
understand.
you. Thank you. Any other discussion,
No,
Alderman?
ma'am.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you. Yes, this was, just to shed a little more light on this, not only this, study by UIS was supposed to take place. Murdoch, if you have that information, can you send it to all of us for review as well? I think that's some good, important information that we can take to use for other projects. While the teen empowerment zone or center, in the form that we wanted is, something that's on pause right now until we figure out what, how we want to move forward with that. There was also another, contract that involved this, which was $100,000 to Mr. Schaefer to do some architectural quotes and stuff on the biggest building over by Sonia Massey Memorial Bridge, which still stands vacant today. So I'm very, very interested in what we're paying for. The report is, seeing that along with my colleagues to gather what information that is. I already have the information from Mr. Schaefer on the buildings and things of that nature and costs. So I think that's very important. Never against paying our bills. They did a fantastic job. I actually was able to speak to a class that they're doing, so they did a great job with it. I just, I think that information is important for our community.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Anything else, Alderman Gregory?
No.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Hey,
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-223, an ordinance approving the appointment of Sarah B. Kink as Director of Human Resources.
move for debate.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I know we do have Ms. Sarah here. Would you like to come up and introduce yourself? Welcome, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Kink, and right now I'm the Acting Director of HR for this wonderful city of Springfield.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Thank you so much for introducing yourself and welcome.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-324, an ordinance authorizing execution of a redevelopment agreement and the allocation of up to $182,979 in redevelopment assistance from the Central Illinois TIF for rehabilitation located at 302 East Adams Street, Springfield, for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Motion for consent.
Second.
I know I made the motion. Is there any discussion? Alderman Donovan.
Just a quick question. I meant to look it up on Google Maps. Which building is it? I know the block, but what is it now?
302. Are you familiar with J.P. Kelly's?
Yep.
So it's a few doors up, am I correct? Corporation Counsel
He's in.
or Director Amy? Oh, I'm sorry, we have the owner here, but I'm right, a few, next door? I knew it was in that area. So,
And he did talk to me about that. That's
Okay.
right. Okay, now it all,
coming back,
don't assume I know what J.P. Kelly's is, by the way.
sorry. I was saying what's familiar right there by the tracks.
Just saying.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-325, an ordinance approving addendum 2 to the agreement with Heartland House for the purpose of addressing homeless in the amount not to exceed $250,000 for the period beginning March 1, 2025, ending February 28, 2026, for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Move for consent.
Second.
Any discussion? Alderman Gregory.
Is Donald still up?
Are you still up?
No, I was just gonna, I see Mr. Sabo out there, and I know there is some speakers that have, not only in the past talked about our house population, but as well as tonight. And, I did read the article in Illinois Times, and, what I did recognize is that, our unhoused population has risen some 200%. And we've tried to meet that with funding wise at 240-something%. And, I see many of the people that's sitting behind you out in the streets doing what they can in a very, very tough, challenging time where funding has been squeezed. Absolutely do we try to make maneuvers with other funding and stuff, but I really appreciate what your crew does day in and day out. Late nights, I've talked to them for young kids, out in the rain and everything. So I appreciate that. And, for me, I always want to say the moves that we try to make up here is only to try to help things get better. It's never against any one of the partners or anyone who works, for Heartland Housing. We appreciate you. We know we've done a lot of good work, and we look forward to continued work and closing some of those gaps that we've talked about. So we appreciate you, Mr. Sabo, and look forward to it. Ain't no telling what happened the next one, though. But thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gregory, and I just would like to echo what Alderman Gregory said, and also, too, everyone is doing a fantastic job, and as we know, I live in Enos Park, and we have a situation going on, so I definitely want to point out a thank you to Director Posey and Ms. Renetta Buckner for going out and being very active in that area that is needing a lot of attention right now. So I know sometimes we do good work, but the story is not told about the work that you're doing each and every day. Director Posey has been in contact with me. The mayor has been in contact with me. So we are addressing the situation, and the neighbors that are surrounding the area has came out to help clean up that area. We went twice on the weekend in the mornings and tried to pick up items. So everybody is working collectively, and there are some neighbors who are saying we need to speed the process up, but we have to let the process work itself. So I just wanted to recognize you all while you're sitting in the audience too here today. There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-326, an ordinance authorizing sub-reciprocal grant agreement number 23-44301, and moving Pillsbury forward, NFP, for the amount not to exceed $108,636 utilizing energy transition community grant funds through the Office of Planning and Economic Development for the demolition of 2 abandoned buildings located at Pillsbury site.
Motion for debate.
Second.
Second.
And there is discussion. Alderman Carlson.
Yeah, and I don't know if someone can ask, or maybe Mr. Richmond's here, but it was my understanding that I thought we paid everything, whatever we paid, up to $4 million last year, and now are they coming back, or $2 or $3 million, are they coming back for more now, or what's going on?
I'll address this. Thank you. Good question, Alderman Carlson. I don't want to liken this to another ordinance that you just looked at. This is the dollars that were awarded in the Energy Transition Grant, so no extra appropriation is needed. The grant language and the original language was not written so we could pay the bill now that the bill has come. So these funds are available in this grant. We're able to close out the grant that met the requirements of the grant, but in order to do that, we had to put this ordinance through so the payment could actually
So
happen.
it's within, let's say whatever, $2 million last year,
But-
so it's within that $2 million?
Yes, sir.
or not
This-
in
this-
addition? It's not in addition.
It is not in addition. This grant was solely for these 2 buildings, and it was a total of 800, the exact amount of this request was being paid by the grant.
Okay, thanks, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. Alderman Gregory?
No, thank you. That answered much of my questions. My only other question would be, do we have, they're probably a little ways through, but do we have any, and I think Mike will have to help you, do we have any reporting on minority and local hiring and what percentage we're at on that particular project?
I don't have that in front of me, and you're correct.
Only reason I'm asking,
Mr.
I don't
Lesko
want
can
to
help
wait
with
for
that
it
too,
to
but
get
we
to
can
the
certainly
end.
get that for you.
All right, thank you,
Okay?
thank you.
But yeah, no additional money. This is just to make the payment. The good news is the buildings are down like they had to be to meet the grant requirement, and we can close out the grant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, I was wondering if we could get Chris Richmond or somebody from there to come next week. I'd like to kind of have a report of some sort that shows
I
us.
ask for that all the
And
time.
also what's the time frame of getting these things down? It seems like they've got the money appropriated to them, I guess, so we've appropriated, we just haven't authorized the spending. But it just seems like it's taking forever. And I understand they got to do asbestos stuff and all that, but, I've had a lot of people say they're doing a lot of cool stuff out there, but they're not knocking the buildings down.
And I can't speak to that as well as going ahead and having Mr. Richmond come and speak to some of those things. With this grant, I can tell you the story that these buildings we had hoped to bring down previously, and we did have to wait because we had endangered species of bats living in them. And we had to wait till their migration season happened in order to tear these two particular buildings down. Or you would have heard this one in front of you earlier than what it was. So.
Maybe we can get a sign with flashing lights saying, with a bat on it, like they have out on
Go
Archer
figure, you had
Elevator
bats in
Road.
abandoned buildings, but yes. So no, I will be happy to reach out to Mr. Richmond and have him work with Tim Griffin on if there can be a presentation, okay?
Thank you, and thank you, Alderman Hanauer, for bringing that up. I know I just laughed, but I think you know why, because I'm always asking for what? Reports. So I think as we move forward with our TIF projects, it's helpful, or just any other projects that we have going on, if we can get some type of report or having them come in to let us know where they are and the progress that's going on. Thank you. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-327, an ordinance authorizing execution of agreement with 541 East Black Avenue Partners LLC for the use of Peoria Road Tax Increment Financing Funds in the amount not to exceed $942,051 for the acquisition and rehabilitation for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Move consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-328, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission for the 2025 planning services and authorizing payment in the amount not to exceed $200,000 from January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025.
Move consent.
Second.
Any
Point
discussion?
of order, real quick. Greg, I'm a commissioner, but it's unpaid. I'm just appointed as an alderman. Am I allowed to?
So am I.
Yeah, we've got two aldermen that are on this.
It would be, although it's not a per se conflict of interest, because of the appearance of a conflict of interest, it would probably be best if you recuse yourself and not make the motion. Not recuse yourself, but just not participate.
I won't make the motion.
I'll make the motion for consent.
Second.
8 and 1, I get.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-329, an ordinance authorizing settlement of workers' compensation claim for Kenneth Lockhart, an Office of Public Works employee in case number 24WC022811 in the amount of $21,938.75.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-330 is an ordinance amending Chapter 170, Section 170.17.15 of the 1988 City Code of Ordinances as amended pertaining to grass and weeds violations.
Motion for consent.
Second.
If I may, just put it on debate only because I just want to talk about it and discuss it a little bit.
Do you have a second?
Always.
Who was the second?
But I,
Oh, okay. I was going to say the button. We do have discussion. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, Mr. Clerk, can you add me as a co-sponsor, please?
Sure.
Is that it? Sorry, I do not mean to sound that loud.
Oh, sure.
Alderman Williams.
yeah, so, it says no details, so can you provide some details on this ordinance?
Sure.
Corporation Counsel.
I'm happy to do it. The ordinance makes, really what it does is it allows us to cut grass without additional notice, which is something that's been asked of this council for some time. So now you get one weed or grass violation, and then that violation is going to say, if your grass or weeds grow more than 10 inches in height for the remainder of the calendar year, the city's going to go onto your property and cut the weeds without further notice and impose the fine and cost cuttings. So that's the main change that brought that about, which has been discussed along here. It also clarifies the notice requirement, which is a request coming out of my office, that clarifies that we can use the same notice that we use in our administrative court process. It was just unclear language, so we clarify that for weed and grass, we can use the same notice that we do for other administrative court proceedings. And then it clarifies as well something that regarding caring for the right-of-way and the parkway strips.
I mean, that was a lot, but I'll just say, I'm inclined to support it. I just need to understand it a little more. So if it's on debate, I'll have time to dig and look around. I just wanted to not be fluff. I want it to really mean something if we're going to do it.
The goal is to get on properties, cut the grass, and get us removed from the process.
And I heard you say one time, and then after that time, that's it, as far as anything from us.
Yeah, they get one notice, and then if our public works see it again, they're just going to cut it, bill, and send it to administrative court.
Thank you.
That works.
Madam Chair, for the record, let the record show that Vice Chairman Natriano is going to take over the meeting.
Thank you, Clerk. Next up, Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you for bringing this. I'm very, very happy to hear about continuous cutting. I think that's something that we talked about. I definitely embrace that portion of it. But it troubles me with the Parkway section, with the city's portion of it. Because we won't let them cut down a tree that may be infringing on their property or something like that. I think it's unfair for us to push on it's either going to be our property or their property, and we have to make that decision. We can't say, well, we're going to fine you for cutting that grass, but if they want to cut the tree, they can't cut the tree.
Right.
I mean, that's just my opinion on it. I mean, we're getting calls right now from constituents with this lead water line situation. It's in the thoroughway. They feel like it's ours. We saying it's yours. But we're going to make them responsible for the thoroughway, but they can't cut trees. If we're going to make them for in Yale Boulevard, they have a nice parkway, a nice boulevard that goes all the way down. We don't allow anything on it. We barely allow them to put the branches on that skinny street. So for us to say, well, we're going to make you cut it, I just don't agree with that. I think that's overstepping a little bit. We want them to cut. Most people do cut them. The problems that I see in my particular ward is houses where they ain't cut the grass or the parkway. It doesn't matter. The grass at the house ain't cut. The parkway ain't cut. At times, our contractors can do a better job when they cut lots to make sure that strip, it's just a cutting technique. They're going close as they can to the edge, and they're just leaving that strip that's hanging up there. That's more a carrot thing than on anything else. But I just. That's my only problem that I have with this. I think that's, overreach of the city to force that upon them. Previously, I know it was in our record, and we encourage that. We want that. People do that. But if we're going to force it and say, hey, that's yours, and we're going to find you, then we need to look at, and this is to all the council, we need to look at how we view that section there. So that's just my take on that. And as far as grass, I think over the years, we've talked about this before, but these lots that the Sangamon County Trust is not, they're buying, we're not charging them to cut them. We need to start charging them to cut them. That's something that I would like to see in this language, that everybody that we touch, there ain't no favors. They don't get no favors no more. And we can go back some time, we spent an awful lot of money cutting lots and not charging them. So if we're going to charge people and be hard on people, let's be hard on them. So I like that added in the language. That'll be part of my amendment that, they don't get away with that either. So, all right, thank you.
Alderman Crossland.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Corporation Moordock and his staff for, I was loud on this over the summer, and for me, it's about streamlining the process. And as we talk, to me, it could go a little bit further, but I can live with the one notice in the mail. I think there's other ways to do that, but the one notice in the mail, and then we cut the next week if it's 10 inches or longer. And I think the citizens of Springfield are going to be happy. Alderman, Gregory, I see what you're saying. The other part was, I've got some boulevards in Ward 7, and this sort of just codifies, hey, whose responsibility is it? Tree issue, I get what you're saying, maybe it's another, something we can talk about. Excuse me?
So in your ward on that boulevard, who's responsible? Is the people responsible or are we responsible?
Well, the couple in question in my area, like in Westchester, the people are responsible. I'm thinking boulevards in the middle,
Yeah.
big islands, sort of like, I don't know, on Passfield or somewhere, or Lowell, exactly. So those are addressing those issues, who's responsible and who's not. I can't speak specifically what you have, but I appreciate Corporation Council working on this all summer. And again, it's another step in the right direction. We don't always get what we want, but you know what? I think citizens are going to be happy that, hey, their neighbor's lawn is going to get cut no matter what after the first notice. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Cox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is a good move overall. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, Mr. Clerk, if I could, please.
Sure.
And with the tree thing, trust me, I get it. Lake leases, you can't look at a pine cone without permission. So I understand the stress there. But no, I think this is a move in the right direction, and we may have to work some things out over the next couple of years, but I think this is a good move overall. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Alderman Donlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alderman Gregory, I hear your point. Last thing we want is a mass boycott of the park, mowing the parkways. I mean, we obviously don't really have that problem citywide now. I know it happens here and there. I think this is a step forward. Alderman Carlson, you and I have had offline conversations about these issues and the frustration with exactly what this ordinance is meant to tackle. Is we have a bad actor, they may even mow it, but then it comes back 3 weeks later, and then we're having to send out our inspectors, and we all have voiced our concern that we don't have enough inspectors. We have a huge city, and this would eliminate the use of that man-woman power, and I think it's a good ordinance. If the sponsors would be willing, I'd love to be a co-sponsor and love to chat with you offline about the issues that you brought up, Alderman. Thank you.
Okay, great. So if there is no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
2025-331, an ordinance amending Chapter 90, Section 90.15 of the 1988 Springfield City Code of Ordinances as amended to change the language to Class N liquor license.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion, we do an omnibus vote on 331 through 336.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
To clarify, what is that omnibus vote for?
Just to lump them so we can do one vote on them.
Move to consent.
It's for consent,
He's got to read them.
but he's got to read them.
Okay, so we're voting on the omnibus for consent?
Yes.
We've got to wait for him to read all of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, go right ahead.
2025-332 is an ordinance to increase the number of Class N liquor licenses by one for Superior Entertainment Group, Inc., DBA Superior Pizzeria of Springfield, located at 1937 and 1941 West Isles. 2025-333, an ordinance to decrease the number of Class E liquor licenses by one due to the sale of the business by TSLZ Entertainment LLC, DBA Stardust Pizza and Gaming, located at 2025 South MacArthur. 2025-333, an ordinance to increase the number of Class E liquor licenses by one for the Village Tea Room, Inc., DBA Village Tea Room, located at 3301 Robbins Road. 2025-335, an ordinance to increase the number of Class AA liquor licenses by one for Famous Liquor and Unique Foods, Inc., DBA Dirksen Discount Liquor and Unique Foods, located at 850 North Dirksen. Need a motion?
One more.
One more.
Oh, you want
Last
36 too?
Yeah.
Okay. 2025-336, an ordinance to move the location of Class A liquor licenses by license for Lucy's Place LLC, DBA Lucy's Place, located at 2459 South MacArthur Boulevard.
Motion for consent.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, next up, we have unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to come before this committee? Okay, Alderman Williams.
Take your stuff off.
Oh, that's old.
Oh, okay. Oh, Alderman Gregory.
No, just real quickly, we're on properties and all that good stuff. Alderman Donlin, some time ago, you brought a ordinance on the containers, on those metal containers on businesses.
On
And-
residential property.
Yes. So, I know we have some on some commercial corridors. What's our ruling on that, Murdoch?
As we sit here, I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it and I can get you that answer.
To see in what instance we permit that, and we may need to look at that. I just see more and more, that way the store things for whatever reason, and, I'd rather not fill up our whole town with, businesses that are looking for a cheap way to store things, and, I guess I get it, but, it's starting to be a little much, just popping up a little bit of everywhere, so thank you. I just wanted to check on that.
Alderman Cox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Mordock, I'm not trying to sneak up on you on this, and it's not a huge deal, okay? Golf cars. I know we've had some discussion. You sent me the city ordinance. Then there's some confusion amongst constituents, residents, Public Works, as to where these places are allowed, where we can have golf cars, where we can't. Is it only areas that have golf courses, actual golf courses near them, or can it be in a like, say, North Lake Shore in my ward, which doesn't have a golf course for many miles? So maybe I should have just sent this to you in an email, but if you could shoot me some kind of guidance on that, it would be really appreciated, not just by me, but by Public Works as well, I think. So, and I guess it's old business because we do have an ordinance on the books, but thank you.
Yeah, I'll get you that list.
All right, thank you so much.
Can I get that list as well? I have a
How do I
question on
get?
that as well.
We
Hello, everybody.
can get it to Tim and circulate it to the entire council.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, I actually have some unfinished business myself. Director Folks, do you have an update on 1622 South MacArthur, the property of Eric Hoagland? Since we last spoke about this, there is...
I would have to revisit that. I don't have anything in my notes on it, but I'd be glad to get that to you tomorrow.
Okay. So you're familiar with the property? This is the corner of MacArthur and
Yes.
Laurel?
Yes.
Okay, because it's now, the bottom floor is open to trespass. Like, the top floor was open, the bottom floor has been open for maybe like a week or 3.
I haven't been through there in some time. I'll be glad to take a look at it, and we'll revisit it tomorrow. We'll get you the latest.
All right, great, thank you so much. All right, any new business to come before this committee? Alderman Donlin.
Thank you, Chair. Just to pull one from the Island of Misfit Toys. We have a problem. I've spoken with Corporation Counsel about it, and I wanted to say these things or I'll forget. We have a problem with those box trailers that people are leaving in the street, and then our traffic officers will go by and try to speak with the owner or cite the owner, and then they move the box trailer, and then it's right back there again. I have one in particular that's been going on for months and months, and without outing anybody, I kind of got the code isn't good enough. So I'd like to sit down with you and draft something to help address the issue, because it is a problem, I know, I'm sure, in everybody's ward, but also with, if we could couple with the concept of this grass thing with repeat offenders. If it's the same registered vehicle, it keeps happening over and over again. I don't know what we can do legally, so I know that's why we have this wonderful Corporation Counsel, but I'd like us to work on something to help address that problem, because it's a nuisance for many reasons. It's a sightline issue. It's a annoyance issue, it's a safety issue, and I appreciate your help and work. Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, and Director Posey has some new business.
Hey, he was up here earlier.
He didn't talk earlier. He didn't talk
We're this
earlier.
nice time today. I figured you guys,
You win.
like seeing a little bit more. I don't want to take all the credit for this myself because Director Raising made me aware of this today. But through DCEO, they are celebrating National Black Business Month. This August, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCEO, is celebrating National Black Business Month. Throughout the month, DCEO, through its Office of Economic Equity and Empowerment, or the OE3 office, will be uplifting black businesses and entrepreneurs across Illinois through a series of events and social media campaigns. Their first webinar that they have listed here is called Leveraging Social Capital to Elevate Your Business, and you can go to their website and register for the event on Thursday, August the 28th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
That's a DCEO website?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And if there's no more new business, it is time for citizens' requests to address the committee. Are there citizens who wish to address the committee?
Yes. First one is Ann Logue.
When it comes to decisions on CWLP's energy future, we must be careful to approach it with respect as to the complexities involved. It is not an either-or question of whether or not to scrap Dahlman 4. He's not here right now. For example, we need to examine when Dahlman 4 will begin to cost more to maintain the revenue it generates. The ongoing cost in mining the fuel, transporting the fuel, managing toxic waste, greenhouse gas emissions, and destruction of land through mine subsidence is worth our attention. Locally, we have Hillsborough's Route 185 vast crater damage and Lutheran High School's demolition due to mine subsidence as examples. You won't see this with renewable energy. Certain a transition away from coal to clean energy deserves our consideration. Other cities and utilities have worked hard to begin transitioning away from coal to clean energy while remaining reliability. Pacific Court, as an example, has incorporated their own solar with battery storage of both 4-hour and 100-hour batteries into their energy resource plan. If we fear control by corporate utilities, let us assess building our own renewable resources and the federal incentives for battery storage available. Energy analyst Mike Schutz stated tax credits for storage are secure through 2033, giving the industry a window of stability. The market didn't expect this to be a breakout moment for storage, but it is. And as for developers ready to adjust, it's the next move. Is Springfield ready to adjust, or will we miss this window of opportunity and lose out by not utilizing incentives? In their financial report of 2025, Global Financial Corporation Lazard states that renewable energy remains the most cost-competitive form of generation. As such, renewable energy will continue to play a key role in building new power generation in the U.S. In the current high power demand environment, renewables stand as both the lowest cost and quickest to deploy generation resource. And if you're worried about energy reliability, it can be addressed with battery storage or utilizing peaker plants as backup. That could be Dahlman 4 or natural gas. Even without federal tax subsidies, solar generation per megawatt hour is 84% cheaper than it was 16 years ago. Offshore wind, 55% cheaper. In Springfield, in 2006, local organizations pushed for emission standards for Dahlman 4, standards that would have been enacted 8 years later. The city council fought it. They fought it hard. They fought curbing severe toxic emissions from coal being poured out into the community on a daily basis. But years later, they ended up being proud of those reductions. Even with those toxic emission reductions, Dahlman 4 does continue to pour CO2 and some toxins into the area daily. If you haven't stooped to pretending that science is a fairy tale, CO2 is revving up climate chaos and record-breaking temperatures. The ongoing cost that coal carries with it is daunting. So we need to consider very carefully what groundwork are we laying out for our city? Who are we going to trust with these decisions? We certainly cannot make them without independent research. The actions we take now and how well-informed we are in those actions will set the course for the future. And since I have a few more minutes, there was a study done a while back that Sean Gregory showed me on landlord licensing and property management issues. And Springfield was assessed as being punitive instead of preventive. Annual inspection of properties would be a preventative process. It would keep people honest and up to code. We have Old Town to see how violations just piled up year after year and nothing was done. So annual inspections is my recommendation with a fee of $20 per unit to fund those inspections. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alice Ramey. Alice Ramey. Steve Strong. Steve Strong. Ken Pesha.
So I had to leave and go to county real quick. Seems like it's endemic everywhere I go in this town, whether it's 186 or really anywhere, that there's a lot of ideas about what's actually happening, what could happen, and what can be done about it. And quite frankly, the landlord registry is long overdue. I think that the problems and this idea that we need to wait until something actually happens is a really faulty way of handling issues. See, the idea is that people want to be in compliance. Good landlords benefit from bad landlords being held to the same standards they are. Anyone that would say to you, I don't want to be held to those standards, you should be questioning them. Because quite frankly, it shouldn't be a hard knock to keep your apartment or your house or your commercial property up to spec, up to code. You should be proud of that. You should call inspectors and want them to come out and look at the work you've done and the money you've spent and the time you've invested in making a safe and equitable place for people in your community to purchase, to sleep, to come to. Instead, there's this idea that it needs to get bad enough, that it needs to be so egregious that we need to have alderwomen paying attention to buildings that have been neglected for over a year, or we have to have an alderman keep track of fly dumping and lawns that don't get mowed. I mean, do we not have real problems in this community? We absolutely do. But Sean's forced to do that because we refuse to put them to be culpable for their own choices. It's very easy. There are other cities that have done this. One of them's less than 50 minutes away from here, and they've done a great job of it. They have a very solid system. The city of Milwaukee could be macro built into the city of Springfield's problems. You know how they fixed it with landlords? You know how they encouraged them to fix those problems? They challenged local banks to step up and provide 0% loans so people could improve those residences and those commercial areas. With landlords that don't clean things up, you know what they actually did? Rent abatement. Fix that problem. We're not going to fine you. We're going to hold your rent. The tenant still gets to stay there. The money goes in escrow. But quite frankly, why should you keep getting paid if you're not going to take care of the problems that exist within your property? And if they don't fix it, eminent domain. You telling me we can't just take away a property, that the things like that don't exist? I'm sure Murdoch would love to write some stuff like that for some of these problematic properties. That man is as sharp as a razor. You know he would. It's just frustrating, though, because the business is out there, guys. I sent an email to a couple of our aldermen, and I'm happy to forward it to all of you, that outlines this stuff in great detail. That's not just from my mouth, but real city planners, real aldermen, places that have a council that have the same power you do and enacted it to protect the people within their community by holding everyone to the same standard. Again, if someone is unwilling to be held to the same standard as everyone else, they're asking for an exception, which makes me wonder what they're hiding. And if you think everybody's up to code, I challenge you to send out some inspectors. I've lived in apartments all over this city. And the problems are not just endemic to the east side or Ward 2 or Ward 3. I've had west side apartments. They were not livable in many cases because of not only the conditions, but my lack of ability to do anything about it. A lot of you guys seem to not realize, and this isn't meant to be an attack on you, but there's plenty of people who don't have time because they're trying to survive. They're not able to track that stuff down or take the time out of their day to come to the city and report all this stuff. And even if they do, how long do they have for it? What does retaliation mean to them? It means they don't have anywhere to live. It's not as easy as you guys think, and I'm not trying to make it seem like you're stupid, but I do think you're unaware of the idea. And I don't disagree, Ralph. Problem tenants are an issue. But a lot of that is in a response to a lack of capability, a lack of resources. And quite frankly, I'd be willing to bet that problematic landlords are in greater abundance than the problematic residents. And I think it's frustrating, the idea that someone should have to have their place inspected to ensure that it is safe for everyone, regardless of their zip code, is somehow revolutionary or problematic. We're not trying to punish good landlords. They should be excited that there would be a codified standard for everyone to be expected to be held to, where they could literally look at it and go, I'm doing X, Y, Z, why isn't he? And that's the kind of thing that matters about standards. You have to give people to something to measure up to, not just their better demons. I mean, come on. Like, I think we all, right now, with very little trouble, can think of people who, left to their own devices, have violated their authority, overstepped their bounds, or ignored the rules at their own convenience because it benefited them. So why wouldn't we initiate a standard that pushes all of that out of the way and holds people accountable and forces them to make sure that what they're doing is what they say they're doing? Because quite frankly, I think when we talk to our residents and we get out there, we hear what actually is going on, and it's never as pretty as the PR. I was just finishing the sentence. Thank you.
Kayla McGuire. Kayla McGuire.
I'm going to make this pretty quick, pretty quick this week. First of all, Jariah Hummins is home and safe, which is wonderful news. She was reported home a few days ago. Thank you so much to the alderman that made Facebook posts and anybody that shared. I appreciate it. While I was out looking for her, I got to make that drive from the east side all around town, and you guys aren't lying. The east side, it's not ideal, but it's not as rough as people make it seem, and I feel like that's just because they're not getting the money that they need. And I'm not super educated on that, so I won't speak too much on it, but it's a valid concern, and I feel like it's being brushed off quite a bit, so I hope that we dive more into that. Lastly, the landlord registry needs to have every landlord on there. I don't care if they're the best, I don't care if they're the worst, I don't care if they're in between. Everybody does. To echo Ken, it gives you a goal to reach. It gives you something to strive for, to be the best landlord that there is. And I heard somebody say, this isn't a proactive thing. It's just how it is because they're the bad. It should be proactive. We should be proactive because you're going to get more bad tenants if we have these landlords. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to tell everyone that Jariah was safe and then touch on what we discussed today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron Cahill. Aaron Cahill. Lackman Hakeem.
Let me know when it's good.
Pull the microphone down, Joe.
Good evening. We have a serious problem with Public Works. I've got pictures.
That's okay.
I would like to know,
Are these all different?
yes,
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was a handout or,
no,
you know what I mean?
everyone's different.
Gotcha.
I would like to know how the city has jurisdiction over county property. Can somebody answer that?
Just proceed with your comments, please.
Ma'am?
proceed with your comments.
Okay. Because this is around the 8th. The city come onto my county property after the Honorable Judge of the Sangamon County Court had requested that the county help me get the firewood off my property because somebody went and complained that it was waste. Well, two things. One, I burn firewood in my wood burner. And two, I make stuff out of it. Okay? I make different products, different planters, little knickknacks, stuff like that. Well, the city come onto my property, and they said, oh, this is waste, this is waste, this is waste. Well, what is considered waste? A flatbed trailer, is that considered waste? No. It's a titled property. And they took it. The city did. Here's a hot tub. Is it considered waste? No, because it's not garbage. Is a toolbox considered waste? No. That's what a person utilizes for storage of tools and stuff. But they said it was waste. The city took it to the city dump. Okay? I had a building that was on the property, as you can see in these photos. That nothing was told to me that they was going to tear it down. But they went ahead and tore it down with all my equipment and stuff in it. Yeah, I got some of it out, but I couldn't get it all out. I had bandsaws in there, everything. I lost it because the city says it's a waste. Again, what does the city consider what is waste? Is this waste? Is that podium right there waste? Would you consider that? Oh, no. That's a podium for somebody to stand on. Well, what about this equipment? Ain't that something for somebody to work with? Then they had their little T-Rex, or whatever you want to call it, tear up the property and still left debris on the property. They expect me to clean it up after they messed it up. Now I got to hire somebody to come in, a company, and fix all the ruts, get all the boards, as you can see in the pictures, which money I don't have to do. But the city, again, expects you got to do it because we made that mess for you.
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired. I would encourage you to speak with Director Fuchs if you have questions or concerns. I unfortunately don't have the answers, but please stick around and we'll find someone to address. Yes.
I did have a question.
Oh, okay. Alderman Williams.
Microphone. Use microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. So your location is in the county?
Okay, I've got 3 lots. These 2 lots is county, this one's city. Okay? The shed was on the county. My firewood was on the county. My toolbox was up against a trailer on the city. My hot tub was on the city side, which the city took. They said it was waste.
So when you say city, are you saying our staff, like our employees?
Yes,
of the
Public
city?
Works.
Public Works, yeah, I agree with the chair. You probably need to have a discussion with the director, because I've dealt with these areas, and that's why I started. Are you surrounded by all city, and you're the only county property?
No, there's a couple other pieces of property around that's county. But I believe the one across the street from me is county. The one next to my city property, I believe is city.
Okay.
Then the one across the street from it is county.
So, but you are aware that, depending if it's county or if it's city, the two jurisdictions have different rules about different things. You will agree with that, right?
Yes.
So I'm just trying, I deal with some of this type of situations. The pictures that you showed me, they are mostly on the county property
Yes, sir.
and our city employees is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So I'll follow up with Director Fuchs as well. Just because I need to understand jurisdiction as well. So, I mean, I can't take your word that our city knew what they were doing, or they knew it was city or county, or what's going on. I don't want to get into that. I just needed to know if you were surrounded, like I have many areas, by city, but your particular living space was county. So I'll talk with Director Fuchs after you talk with him. Thank you so much. Thank you,
If
Madam
you
Chair.
would look at one of the pictures, it shows Public Works trucks, their T-Rex, everything.
Yeah, I'm going to talk with Director Fuchs as well.
Okay, yep, we'll take a look at it. Thank you.
You know, but I need my property
Robert
fixed.
Williams?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Williams. I'm here because of mental health issues. I've been denied my mental health because I had a restraining order from the mission, so I couldn't go see my medical doctor. I couldn't even go see my psych. And this medication that I'm on, I haven't been able to take for months. I just got the case resolved, but I still haven't been able to take my medication. And that's something I want to talk on because I can relate to the people that has the same problem I do. And Mayor, excuse me, last year or earlier this year, when you said you didn't know what these people, mental health and them, is doing because they're not telling you what's going on, then the next week they all showed up. I'm talking about all these agencies, Helping Hand, Behavior, Mental Health. They put us in places. You know, once the fiscal year come around, they get approved for this money. They'll put people in places for a whole year, pay the rent. But then they'll have their confidential informant trick on them, and even the landlords, slamlords, whatever you want to call them, is getting paid because once they get kicked out, that money for the rest of the year comes back to you all. I'm not saying you all, but they come back to the system, but I'm sure everybody get a piece of the pie. And mental health, they don't come out here and talk to us. We don't go to them, you know. We have mental issues, like I told y'all earlier. I don't see it and think y'all was paying attention. But I was raped by my sister and her friends. And I'm still dealing with this shit. And I'm 63. The mental health people ain't doing nothing but using me as a guinea pig, prescribing drugs that knock the elephant out. And here it is. I know, like I said, I know how to mental health cycle runs. I know how to talk to people, and I know I can get a lot of things done. When you said you didn't know what's going on, Mayor, the next week everybody showed up from these different agencies. They robbing us blind, robbing you all blind too. But I would like to get a job dealing with mental health and put out a report showing that this situation can be resolved and handled appropriately. All I ask is for the equipment, and y'all know everything what they do in Springfield, Illinois. You know, and that's the real. And I'm going through some stuff right now. Like I just found out I got something wrong with my throat. I might have cancer. And I got a lump in my chest. I had a CAT scan. I don't know what that's from. But I'm going through some stuff. My ex got me going through some stuff. But I'm going to survive. But I'm asking you all to check with them people, mental health, and see what they're doing. They're not coming outside to talk to us. Only time they talk to us is if we go to jail and we request it, or we lay there and go to the upper hand or the mission. That ain't how you get. And then even that don't work, because my friend Tyler, he wouldn't even talk to mental health. And I got him to talk to him. He admitted that he was feeling suicidal. The next day he got out, he got stabbed in the head. It was all in the paper and everything. You know, but like I say, check, if you don't believe me, check with the people that's living out here homeless. Don't have nothing to do, you know. And then when they do get a place to stay, they get their rent paid for a whole year. And then they snatch it from under them. Because as soon as they find out they got some other people staying in their place doing drugs or whatever, they kick them out. And that money go right back to the state, plain and simple. And in they park, I bet you they got swimming pool, basketball court, tennis court, and all that other good shit. But we ain't want to come out here and check it out. Everybody want us to meet them where they want us to meet. But we got STPD, whatever you want to call it.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Brianna Ellers.
Madam Chair, we have to wait for a quorum.
Oh, okay.
Who are we missing? Hold up, Brianna. Just 1 minute. We got to get a quorum back in.
Hawks.
Starting to run sparse on members, are we? He's coming back. Somebody's got to stay at council, guys. Come on.
I'm here.
He's standing back there.
Roy, stay right there. Don't leave. Stay right there.
Yeah, he's here. He's in the room.
We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, Brianna Eilers.
No, ma'am.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
All those in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it.